Only 3% of the people who apply to Toptal actually get in. But when you do get into Toptal, you get access to some of the highest paying freelance work on the planet. Today, I'm going to break down the exact 5-step process that they use to test me, showing you the exact emails, the real test, and the real case study. So before we get into the case study, here's the thing that nobody tells you about this whole process. It's kind of a heavy lift. They say that it takes between 15 and 20 hours of unpaid work. And I put in about 30 hours worth of work because I just really wanted to get into Toptal. Because on Toptal, the clients that they bring in are actually a very, very high caliber, and they do pay pretty significant rates. Step 1 is a screening call. And honestly, I really over prepared for this. I showed up to this call ready to talk about like finance concepts, and I'm like brushing up on all of my finance terms and everything. And so when I get on the call, it's actually something that is totally different from what I expected. The screening call basically ended up being just a, can this guy speak English? And does he present himself professionally? It's kind of crazy, but Toptal says that only 26% of its applicants actually pass the screening call process. It's because they show up sloppy or because they're unprofessional on the call. This is not like a chat with a friend. This is like a first impression for acceptance to take on extremely high-level professional work. Step 2 is an online multiple choice test. And I don't have access to this anymore because clearly they've archived it, but it's a multiple choice thing, 20 questions. They give you 5 different practice questions, and you'll get the point of what they're looking for. So net debt to EBITDA ratio, days payable outstanding, what's the CFO looking for, and price elasticity, stuff like this. You also get a Google Sheets file, basically with the same sort of thing that you're going to see on the test itself. Only 7.4% of applicants are passing this stage. The problem, in my opinion, is not the content. It is actually like a secret test that's embedded in this, which is a 48-hour deadline. I would imagine that most people are just like missing the email, running out of time, or only realizing the middle of the test that their skill set just doesn't line up. If you know your space, you should be fine. Step 3 is where it gets a little bit more real. It's a live case roleplay with an actual Toptal expert. It's what I was expecting when I got on the first call. As part of this, you get a 2 to 3 page case study with a whole bunch of information, who are you meeting with, and a bunch of details of what you would probably get if you were hired for an actual job just like this. Mine was about a manufacturing company that had declining sales and profitability, income statement and balance sheet, and some additional information alongside that. Once you've had a chance to review the documentation, then you're going to schedule a call with somebody from Toptal where you can ask more questions and discuss and just get a better understanding. You're interviewing them as if they are the client. They'll give you a little bit more information. You can sort of poke and prod as to understand what it is that they're really looking for. In general, it's like a half an hour discussion. You take your notes and you go away, and then you start your work on this case study. What I think that they're actually testing for here is, can you interpret the case? Can you zero in on what actually matters? Can you connect the dots as to what it is that the client actually needs, and then ask the smart questions to fill in the gaps for the blanks that they intentionally leave on purpose? Clear that, and you're in the final round. Officially, that top 3.6% that they say. So then step 4 is a live project. In my case, it was a longer version of that case, a 5-page brief, a baseline Excel file, and then I had to go ahead and build a full 3-statement financial model with projections, evaluation, and a client-ready presentation deck. As you can see, I took this pretty seriously. My mindset the entire time was, I have to act like I am being paid actually 10 grand to deliver this stuff, because that is the caliber of client work that you can expect when working on the other side with Toptal clients. I built a fully dynamic model with no hard coding whatsoever, fully defensible research behind every number, comments explaining my thought process, full-on recommendations of what to do next. Very, very comprehensive work. And your last step of this process is a 1-hour call presenting your findings to that Toptal rep, essentially playing the mock role of that client. And if you did the work right in step 4, then this part is honestly going to be child's play because it's just like a Q&A. My guy, when I went through that part, just told me, hey, listen, clearly you get this stuff. You're very, very professional. you know this inside and out. So he basically greenlit me on the call, and I got my onboarding materials within an hour of that call being over. I think it took me a day to go through the admin of getting onboarded onto Toptal. And after that, access to jobs. It was pretty awesome. If you're part of the 97% that don't get into Toptal, but you do want to dominate in freelancing, then check out my Upwork Profile and Proposals Academy. That's where I teach you how to crush it in your niche on Upwork. Leave a like on this video if it helped you in any way, and I will see you in the next one.